Today's video, I'll be talking about collecting retro video game consoles and retro video games. Um, and today's video will be about the Nintendo Entertainment 8-bit video game console. And there's various places where you can buy 8-bit NES games and consoles. I would assume that a lot of the video game consoles that were made back in the 1980s, mid-1980s to the early 1990s are in pretty poor shape. It's very hard to get a good NES console. So there are alternatives to that as well. You could buy a something like this, which is a NES or Nintendo Entertainment 8-bit clone. So this will take NES cartridges. Comes with a zapper, even some configurations. A zapper is useless unless you have a CRT television or a cathode ray television, one of those big bulky televisions or monitors. If you don't have a CRT, zapper isn't going to work. And this will take NES cartridges. By looking at the shape of the slot, it will take it, but it will go in vertically like that. And as for the games, you could go to somewhere like Craigslist. Another good place you could look for retro video games would be like garage sales. If you see a garage sale in your area, you could see what they have. A lot of times they'll have old video games and old video game consoles and stuff like that. You could find maybe some NES and NES video game consoles and other consoles as well, like Sega Genesis, which was another popular video game console. Maybe Super Nintendo or something like that. Nintendo on Craigslist. But we have some Super Nintendo games. Pretty good price, even for this N64. I don't know what kind of condition they're in. If it's good condition or bad condition or fair condition. You never know. Nintendo video game console. It says it's in working condition. It looks pretty good. You have some marks on it. Some imperfections, some blemishes. Like there and stuff like that. Kind of rough. As long as it works. And it is original NES console. Very hard to find Nintendo games on like a place like Craigslist. It'll probably be harder to find it in a garage sale because probably a lot of them have been sold in the previous years. Nintendo Cartridge. Okay, got that. That's not the original. Like I said, it's very hard to find because they're so old. Another good place to look for Nintendo cartridges would be something like eBay. Sell them in bulk. Gyromites. $5.99. That's not bad. Buy them on eBay if you want to collect Nintendo Entertainment System games. That one looks like it's in pretty rough shape. It even comes with the original sleeve. The sleeve is a little bit messed up. $28 for that? No. You could do better than that. The original Tetris. eBay is another good place to look for games. If you want to use emulation, you can. Use a Nintendo cartridge. Call it NES cartridge. Here it is, something like this. What the EverDrive N8 is it's basically, you could use a micro SD card in this thing. You could put a micro SD card in this thing, and you could put NES ROMs in it, and you could play it on an old NES video game console or something like this. This would take a N8 cartridge as well, something like this. So what this cartridge does is it uses an FPGA board, which can emulate the real hardware of a Nintendo Entertainment System. So basically, you get it'll be pretty much like the original Nintendo Entertainment System because it uses FPGA or hardware emulation versus software emulation. I'm thinking about buying this thing. I will probably buy this thing and get the N8 cartridge as well, and I will be making videos about this in the future, and I will buy NES cartridges as well if I can find some, and running it on this thing because I want to start a collection of NES games. That's the era that I really liked in relation to retro video games. The mid 1980s, starting with the NES. This looks really interesting. This thing doesn't come with any games or cartridges or anything. It says you could order that separately, I think. Just a cartridge. It says it comes with 100 games. It even has an adapter. I think this is for Famicom games. The slot is for NES, but you could get an adapter for that. Not sure what kind of slot this thing comes with, or slots this thing comes with. Let's take a closer look. Wonder if it has HDMI. It just seems to have composite video for like older television sets. Let's see if we can find some NES games on Amazon, another very popular platform. Okay, this is like the evergreen type of cartridges. Whatever. Not the original game. But I would like to have the original games as well. I think it would just be a lot better to play some of these retro video games on a big screen television in the living room instead of playing it on your computer. I mean, playing it in your living room on a big screen television kind of like gives you that retro feel. That's one thing I like about having video game consoles on a television set. See, they got Super Mario Brothers. See how much it costs. We got one at a pretty reasonable price. Not bad, but it doesn't come with the sleeve or the box or anything. Okay, that's what I wanted to share with you today. If you have any thoughts, questions, you could leave it in the comment section below, and I will leave all the links in the video descriptions below. And thanks.